Hello there, welcome back to the Closet Historian. Today, we're going to be talking about closets because I'm going to give you a tour of mine. So this will just be a little rundown of how I store my vintage accessories, jewelry, hats, things like that. I just wanted to show you guys how I fit it all in and maybe give you guys some ideas on how you can store your collection too. So let's jump right into the tour. Okay, so this is the first of two tall, thin little standing dressers I have. The bottom drawer is workout clothes that don't really get used. The next big drawer on top of that is larger scarves and modern scarves. Thin drawer above that is gloves, above that we have berets, and the top is handkerchiefs and sort of miscellaneous stuff. Those are those modern scarves I was just talking about, and here are my gloves arranged by color, usually folded in half. Above that we have a drawer full of berets and a couple other pairs of wintry gloves, and then at the top we have more miscellaneous gloves and some handkerchiefs. Here we have the beginnings of my hat storage in these boxes. These ones are actually cookie containers from the grocery store around Christmas time, and they work well for hats. And then these ones are actually shoe storage boxes from IKEA, but they work just as well for hats, and the clear front helps you see what you got in there, and they're of course stackable, so those work pretty well for hats. Here is my big dresser. I actually just got this past summer, and it's helped me a lot with more storage space, of course. The bottom two drawers are t-shirts and pajamas, and then there's other accessories in each drawer. This middle big drawer here has all of my vintage clutch handbags, and then some evening bags, other little handbags here on top, but you can see how my clutches are lined up in here, and yes, I do have that many clutch handbags, crazy enough. This top drawer here actually have my Japanese haori jackets. They're like jackets that were worn on top of kimono, or are worn on top of kimono, but they look great over 1920s dresses as well, so I have a few of those, and I keep them wrapped in scarves so that they can stay nice and protected in this drawer. This other drawer is more jewelry and miscellaneous stuff, mostly long necklaces, and then I have a drawer set aside for sunglasses. Like I said, this bottom drawer is t-shirts, mostly Star Wars and Disneyland t-shirts if I'm honest. And then over here I have lots of flannel pajamas. Then this is my other tall, thin dresser. This one's got mostly jewelry in it. This top drawer here, both the top two drawers are full of vintage costume jewelry. I've got these little velvet-lined trays that I actually just recently picked up at Michael's, and they work really well for organizing your jewelry and laying it out so you can still see it, and then they stack in there. So they've been working out really well for me so far. I just recently got these, and I really like how they're working out. So you can see this one's got some bracelets. This next drawer is more jewelry again. I usually organize it by sort of type of or color of metal. So this is all bracelets here, but the next little layer tray down underneath that is going to be silver brooches, or like where the majority color of the brooch is silver. Obviously there's some gold ones in there too, but then I have a whole tray of gold brooches, a whole tray of celluloid and bakelite, that kind of thing. So I organize them a little bit more by type. Then this dresser also has my socks and some camisoles. In here is my actual closet, my little walk-in closet that I've got. And just turn the light on here. And so these are where I keep the majority of my stuff, obviously, other than those dressers in my bedroom. Lots of shoes on the floor here because they don't all fit on those top shelves that I have in here. But I've got shoes, and then my clothes, belts, more jewelry, of course, and then vintage handbags at the top there. We've got shoes all lined up along these two top shelves here. I try and keep my nicer shoes up here so they don't get kicked around the bottom. Then up here I actually have these two boxes. One's like an old boot box, and then one is actually a box that a hat came in. Store bigger straw hats, so hats that don't really fit anywhere else. I try and keep them separated by layers of tissue paper at least. You can see there's one hat here as well that has to go on a mannequin, and then my parasols. And then I have vintage handbags along the top here. They're not really arranged by color or anything. Also in the corner there you see another box of scarves. I have a lot of scarves. And then we have skirts separated from the suiting with a nice bunch of scarves here. And then we have all of my vintage suiting and some more little blazers and jackets, and some modern long sleeve tops. And then here in the middle we have two tie racks with lots and lots of jewelry on them. Mostly it's my longer necklaces and more modern jewelry from before I started wearing vintage. You can see some vintage stuff on the outside, but yes, that is a lot of jewelry. Yeah, I know, I have a problem. And then down here I have all my belts hanging up. So those are easy to see and pair with clothes. And then I have another little dresser, jewelry dresser in here. This one's got my larger earrings in the top, bakelite and things like that. And then the next drawer has my fancy white rhinestone, clear rhinestone jewelry for when I'm really dressing up. More 50s jewelry in this drawer, even more long beaded necklaces in this one. So more jewelry because I have a problem. Up here are two little clear separator containers from the Container Store, I believe, with a crap ton of earrings, as you can see. I used to make jewelry when I was younger, and I still do sometimes. So I have a lot of earrings that I've made over the years, and I probably should just really pare this down because I don't wear most of these ever, as you can imagine with this much. But this top one does have some vintage jewelry in there as well, but yeah, I have a lot of jewelry. This side has short sleeve tops and then long sleeve tops mostly, and then a few sweaters on this side as well. And then we move into dresses. And so these are all my winter and fall dresses. I do switch out my closet seasonally. So these are my fall dresses, as you can see with this dress here. I try and keep kind of these separated by formality sometimes. Things get mixed up in here though. So the more formal things are on one side and then more casual on the other. So these are my dresses. And then down here on the floor, underneath the skirts from earlier, we have a box of my faux furs, collars and muffs and wraps, things like that. They're kind of spilling out of there. And then more shoes, of course, here on the floor, trying to keep them as organized as possible, but there's more shoes than space, really, to be honest. And then back here in the murky darkness, there are some more boxes with extra, actually that bottom box is full of socks, and then there's more hats in those other boxes. I actually keep these bait shoe boxes, the boxes that bait shoes come in, because they're quite sturdy and are good hat storage boxes, so I keep those around too. Back out here in my bedroom, this is actually one of my nightstands, and I have one on either side of my bed, and each of them have a big blue box like this on them. You can see I also have Luna bars and Ghibli movies up there, but these big blue boxes house a lot of my hats. I got these boxes at IKEA, and they do a great job of providing me with more storage space for hats. I wrap everything, again, in tissue paper, or at least separate them with some tissue paper. I try and use white or acid-free. Hypothetically, I would love to have acid-free boxes and tissue paper one day, but this is where I'm keeping my hats for now. One day I'd like to upgrade these boxes and tissue and all that to acid-free archival museum-style boxes, but until I can afford those, they are living in these IKEA boxes. So that's most of my collection and storage and how I keep everything organized. I do actually have a couple of petticoats hanging from my four-poster right now because I have no really good spot to put them for now. So here's my Malcolm Modes petticoats chilling on the edge of my bed. So that was my closet. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour of my space and how I store everything. It sort of feels like show and tell, giving you guys a little bit more of a glimpse at my collection and how I organize everything. Feel free to let me know how you guys store your collection in the comments below. I'm always looking for new ways to pack more in there since I'm a bit of a shopaholic, as I've mentioned before, and I always have more stuff, it seems, and the space stays the same. So I have to reorganize every so often, but this is where I'm at right now. And I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Clues. It's like clothes and shoes in one word. Clues. I think they use that word for something else. It has its own meaning. Funny enough. These are some of the things I have on my wall in here, just in case you guys wanted to see that. Top of my dresser I have a space heater and currently a hat, and then some fun candles and little terrariums that are super dusty. But yeah, I have a bunch of these posters because one of my friends in high school, when the movie came out, actually worked at the movie theater, and she kindly got me a whole bunch of these theater posters. So I have a bunch of those. This is a painting I did because I couldn't afford a Japanese screen. Lots of other little things. This is a map of London, actually, which is my favorite town there is. I just freaking love London town, so that's a map of my favorite town since I can't be there very often. And these are actually pictures from my trip to Ireland when I was a kid, so that's fun. The weather today is rather snowy, but you know, that's fun.